Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. Let's kickstart today with our newspapers. Possibly we'll move straight through our conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do have a saying, what we say. You can always find us, visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at EnterpriseTV7. We're very so honored to have with us right here in our studios Emeka Matunango, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have from our newspapers and possibly conversation for today. Good morning, Emeka.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Thank
My
you so
pleasure
very
to
much
be here.
for your time. Now let's start with the first daily on our desk. Daily Trust newspaper, it is. Big story. Northern leaders unite against challenges. And right below that story, we have a Rise television presenter killed in Abuja robbery. And also Jonathan's tenure, a disaster. And that's coming from the presidency. And the architect to that statement possibly is a bio on Onuga. And right after that story, we have court holds action as Dangote Pengasin meeting the drugs. Emeka, on a sad one, a Rise television presenter, a colleague of ours, journalist, killed in Abuja, a robbery. The last we know, we thought it was a physical assault from the armed robbers, but it's another story. Can you help flesh in some of that?
Yeah, a friend of mine, who also happens to be her mother's friend, actually posted on Facebook that during the robbery, the residents called the police, but the police didn't show up. So the lady, out of panic, before they could get to her apartment, she jumped off the building and I think she got injured. So when the police arrived, she begged them to take her to the hospital. They said they didn't have fuel in their car, in their patrol van rather. And then she called her mother's friend who came, but by the time she got there, she had passed on. So it's sad that we don't prioritize the health of Nigerians. Emergencies. We don't have emergency response, ambulances and things like that can easily be deployed. I remember last year when there was a bomb blast, January last year, when there was a bomb blast in Ibadan. Interestingly, there were ambulances parked in the government house. But they were not deployed. So people who had dead and injured persons had to be carried in open pickup vans. So it tells us that with all we are not an orderly society, and it's very sad. If we were more orderly, things like this should not happen. Why would the police say they don't have petrol in their vehicle?
First responders.
Did they even respond on time? So these are the things to talk about. When they say they did roads, kilometers of roads, they did bridges. Security is important. Health is important. Emergencies is important. How you respond to emergencies is important. But in this case, sorry, the police didn't do well.
Actually did not do well, because one would have expected, like it's practiced in other climes, when we have issues like this, once the police force comes to the occasion, the next thing is for them to activate the next step, of course, calling in emergency and first aid to get that happen. But in Nigeria, you can see how bad the situation is. They can't even afford fuel, PMS, for their own vehicles. And that is how bad it is. But Emeka, let's get to another story here. Jonathan's tenure, a disaster. It's coming from the presidency. And one would wonder, since 2015 that Goodluck Ebele Jonathan left the scene and APC took over power, they are still sober.
Well, the sad thing is, when people go out of their way, in their desperation to... That statement was actually issued by Bayo Onanuga. Okay. In his desperation to please his boss, he now ended up making a mockery of the presidency and of himself. In saying Jonathan's tenure was... I would prefer Jonathan's disaster 100 times to 1/10 of Tinubu. Because Jonathan knew what he was doing. You can see now, in all their comparisons, in all the magic they've been playing with figures, they have never dared to compare the administration with that of Jonathan. They only stop at Buhari, whom they were encouraging. They said, Tinubu said that Buhari was doing well. Now they come out shamelessly to compare their, their lackluster administration to that of Buhari. Can you say it was a disaster? During Jonathan's tenure, I could buy rice and send to my parents. It was 8,000 naira. During Jonathan's tenure, government was paying salaries now. Young people working in banks, working in different establishments, could travel abroad on holiday. During Jonathan's time, people built houses during Jonathan's time. They bought land. A lot of things were going on in the country. There are a lot of Nigerians that left abroad that came back to Nigeria during Jonathan's time. But is it this disaster of an administration we have trying to compare itself? You see, sometimes you just wonder at, when common sense flees, through the window. You just pity the victims of such degeneration. It's sad.
Truly sad, because one would have, thought that President Bola Tinubu would do better than his predecessors. But of course, it is glaring that he has even not scratched the surface. Rather, he had made things worse for Nigerians. He met a debt of 70 trillion naira, and now it's climbing to upward of 200 trillion.
Yes, over 140.
Yes.
Jonathan stabilized petrol at 97 naira per liter. He stabilized the exchange rate at about 166 or thereabout. And you name it, the GDP of Nigeria rose. Inflows and all of that, they rose. A lot of things. Inflation was below 2 digits under Jonathan. Look at today. They can't even manage inflation. Ghana just announced that it moved inflation from over 23% to 11%. Just a little over 11%. That is a country that is serious. When I say it was a disaster, then theirs is just a total cataclysm. If Jonathan was a disaster, then Tinubu's administration was a total cataclysm. Because there's no redeeming feature in this administration. Nothing. They are just borrowing and borrowing. They are running 3 budgets. 3 budgets at the same time, 2023, 2024, 2025. Their lies keep circulating up and down, up and down, up and down. They've even recruited some people in the media. But each time they bring out their lies, we bust their lies. We fact check and bust their lies.
So it means that Tinubu wasn't even prepared from the get-go.
He was prepared to grab, snatch, and run away with power. He wasn't prepared for leadership. I thought, look at how he ran Lagos now. When he was governor, what major thing did Tinubu do as governor? I was a reporter in this. I've challenged people to tell me the roads that he did. Apart from Kudat Abiola, apart from Oregon Road that he renamed Kudat Abiola with, that he expanded to Idua Carriage, what did he do? Specifics. I've asked them, come and tell us now. The newspapers are there. We can go to the National Library and bring out newspapers from 1999 to 2007. Show us what he did. Come on, let's go. I'm ready to spend 2 whole days. Let's sit down and keep checking the newspapers. But there's nothing. So when there is nothing, they resort to lies. They resort to twisting the facts. And that is why you see that the currents between them and Buhari, the naira has been devalued over 1,000%. You can see what has gone on. They floated the naira. It has become a disaster. And so, when Jonathan decided to remove subsidy in 2020, it was Tinubu and his co-travelers that rallied people to protest against it in 2012. Tinubu came in. At least Jonathan even had the good conscience to consult Nigerians. Tinubu just came in on the day of his inauguration, said subsidy is gone. Who does that? I mean, I think Bayo Onanuga should know that posterity will judge. A day will come when he will no longer be in that position. And then we'll remind him. We'll ask him by Onanga how far.
All right, but how about this backpedaling picture of President Bola Tinubu? We have a picture here of him meeting with Bayo Ogunlesi, the senior managing director of BlackRock, and equally my very good friend. I used to love his name, Hakeem Bello Osagie. Yes. So, do you think the duo might bring in the magic wand to help President Bola Tinubu, whose renewed hope is becoming hopelessness?
Oh my God. Hakeem Bello Osagie was MD of UBA when the bank almost went down and had to be bought over by Standard Trust Bank, STB, owned by Tony Elumelu. I was a reporter then when it happened. A tiny bank bought over one of Nigeria's biggest banks. Hakeem Bello Osagie, I think, was the one who brought in Etisalat to Nigeria. Etisalat almost hit the rock bottom before it was bought over and named 9 Mobile. So, Bello Osagie, I don't know what for. I don't know what for. As for Bayo Ogunlesi, yes, Bayo Ogunlesi was an honorary advisor to President Olusegun Obasanjo, for some years. Then he was an advisor to Donald Trump, to President Donald Trump, U.S. President Donald Trump in his first term. But Donald Trump dropped him along the line. So, if they are coming to do anything for him, it's fine. But look, what we need is this. You need to come down to the basics, to the grassroots, and understand what Nigerians need. You see, they've been talking about portfolio investments. That doesn't build an economy. It's just an investment vehicle. You have treasury bills, you have money market instruments, you have all of those things. Yes, it's just like you have a Susu, this thrift. You have cooperative, you have different things that people invest in. But if you are now benchmarking your administration's activities, economic activities, against the size of the portfolio investment, then there's a problem. Because portfolio investors are more like briefcase investors. They come in with money, put it in your stock market, but at the sign of trouble, they pick race. They run away. So, yes, bringing them in, I hope they'll be able to, but the point is this: this economy needs heavy investment. Heavy investment.
In the real economy.
Talking about the trillions. Yes, in the real economy. In the power sector, you need trillions. In manufacturing, you need trillions. In infrastructure. But all of these things can only come when, first of all, the first investment is sincerity. Because people can bring in trillions and it doesn't go anywhere. Look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump tells you he believes in the American dream and he will make policies that will actualize the American dream. China tells you, yes, we also have the Chinese dream. Look at what one Chinese official was saying yesterday in the Philippines. When Israel, sort of, Netanyahu threw a jab at China. Then China said, listen, we have the capability to deploy our missiles and our hydrogen bomb. We have the capability to reach anywhere on Earth in 20 minutes. 20 minutes! In 20 minutes. He said, so go and ask America if they have that capability too. Because any country that thinks it can tackle China will be destroyed. He said it clearly.
Yeah, he said that you can hit us once, but you can't hit us.
He said, go and watch our parade, our National Day parade. Go. China's independence will be tomorrow, in October 1. You will see what they will bring out. So they said they've gone far. Donald Trump brought out the gold card for citizenship. China was just laughing at him. He now said for the H-1B visa for professionals that they will charge $100,000 per person. China brought a K-1 visa and said, come in. One of my friends just got a residency visa in China. She was celebrating on Facebook today. So what are we talking about? So the thing is about sincerity. if your country is, you are looking for a permanent seat on the UN Security Council, when you cannot secure your citizens, you are signing peace deals with bandits, and you're talking of investment. Investors are not stupid. Make your country safe first. Let power be constant, so that none of us has to bother by a generator anymore. In fact, let's go and put a frame a generator, put somewhere for our grandchildren. Tell them that once upon a time like we used to depend on something like this. Then foreign investors will come. You don't need to go spending all the money Tinubu is saying is looking for foreign investors. You don't need it. You don't need it. Gary, have you ever seen any advert on TV? Have you ever seen anybody advertising Gary? Nobody needs to advertise because Gary has his own. Gary, nobody needs to advertise it. Because it is useful, to Nigerians.
Ready supply, ready demand.
Yeah, so, all this one you say you're going abroad. No. A classmate of mine started a drinks factory, in the southwest here. And then the thing started succeeding. Then he now moved again. He moved elsewhere to go and build a bigger factory. Why? Because of the activities of the governor, what the governor has been doing. For instance, look at Abia State. The U.S. ambassador to Nigeria spent 2 days in Abia State.
Really?
Israeli ambassador has been there. Other ambassadors are rushing to Abia State to go and see the wonders the man is in. And what is the man doing? Is he reinventing the wheel? No. He's not. He just did the same things that people ought to do. Roads that were not done. He has done roads. Hospitals, schools, and all of that. He has made Aba. Aba was one of the dirtiest cities in Africa. But today, the man has remade Aba. The man has made Aba. People go to Aba, buy ready-made clothes, and put labels on it. And it's imported. Because the quality is high. So, when people are and it's not just the governor of Abia State. Some other governors here and there are also doing well. If you do the right things, look, you don't need the Biogunlesi, Kim Belloc. You don't need those people. Investors with real money will come in. And then your people, when money circulates, Nigerians themselves, because you're looking for foreign investors. Do you know there are Nigerians who are millionaires in dollars abroad? You don't look for them. You're looking for people who will tell you, who will bring money, just put in your portfolio investment. If there's any shake in the economy, they'll run away. There are Nigerians who are ready to bring in money. I know this for a fact. Nigerians who say if this government can deal with security, that they are ready to bring in millions of dollars into this country. But you are signing peace deals with bandits. It's a joke.
A very big joke it is, and one would ask the philanthropic nature and the gesture of the president has really, gone deep right inside him, that he feels that everything is about satisfying the needs, the immediate needs of physical people he could see right there, than the generality of Nigerians. He's gotten so used to it. Of course, we've seen what he has done in Lagos. It's a one-man show. No one questions him. No one talks down on anything he says. A lot of the things we see within the people, hovering around him, are people with blind loyalty. And that is truly not the best way any leader can govern a country. There's often, and people have said it, a big difference between blind loyalty and obedience. They are not the same. But what we see today with President Bola Tinubu and those surrounding him are people with lots of blind loyalty. Rather than speaking truth to authority and helping him to succeed, they would not make that happen. Emeka will still be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Federal High Court bans Utomi's parallel government plan. That in a bit. Still Enterprise Morning. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
my people, the elections are around the corner. Before you know it, it will be 2027. But before then, for you to partake in the election, you must have your voter's card. And for you to have your voter's card, you must register. INEC has rolled out the drums. We call this program Continuous Voters Registration. And it is for you to register. This is to do that if you want to vote. And it's important that you take part in the process of voting. Just go there, give them your name and your address. That's all. And of course, they will capture you, take your picture, and that's all. You are done. Within 5 minutes, you are done. And after that, when the time comes, they call it claims and objection time. That's when you look at it. They will paste all the results or the names of those that have registered all over the places. You will go to the place you register, check your name that is well spelled, and the information you've given them correct. And that's all. After some time again, they will tell you that your voter's card is ready. You go and pick it. That is all. Be a good Nigerian citizen. Partake in the process, because it's a duty imposed on you by Section 23 of the 1999 Constitution as a good citizen. And you will be better off by voting, because you have your mind that, yes, you voted right. I'm Wale Ogunade, constitutional lawyer, human rights activist, and President Voters Awareness Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. This is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. The Federal High Court in Abuja has declared illegal the move by former presidential candidate, Professor Pat Utomi, to establish a shadow government in Nigeria. Delivering judgment, Justice James Omotosho ruled that such a concept is unknown to the 1999 Constitution as amended and Nigeria's presidential system of government. The court further issued an order restraining Utomi and his associates from proceeding with the initiative, stressing that their right to criticize government does not extend to setting up an alternative authority. The suit filed by the Department of State Services, DSS, accused Utomi of attempting to usurp the executive power of President Bola Tinubu, and the action, the agency said, could destabilize the country and pose a serious threat to national security. The DSS argued that Utomi's shadow cabinet, which he publicly unveiled with designated members and portfolios, was unconstitutional and amounted to creating a parallel government not recognized by law. According to the agency, such a move could mislead the public, incite political unrest, fuel dissatisfaction, and embolden separatist groups. Citing Section 1, 2, and 14(2)(a) of the Constitution, the DSS maintained that governance in Nigeria must only be carried out through recognized constitutional structures. It urged the court to protect national unity, constitutional democracy, and the rule of law by permanently restraining Utomi and his associates from taking further steps towards the establishment or operation of the shadow government. Let's get talking. Very interesting one there. I still have with me Emeka Madunago. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for hanging on.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's start with the superficial. Emeka, what's a shadow government? Because let's even start from there, so our audience, viewers, could have a better grasp of what we're talking about.
The shadow government is just a group, of opposition members, who take it upon themselves to closely monitor the activities of the government in power. So
they're like a pressure group?
Well, yes, but it's just that, the concept, has been popularized in the United Kingdom, and in different places. Even the same APC that is making all the noise now actually said they were going to form a shadow government under President Goodluck Jonathan. So, why are they now crying? Now that the same pill is being administered to them, they cannot take it. They cannot take what they were dishing to other people. Why? And there's nothing, Utomi has explained that there's nothing, all of the things that the DSS went to court for. It's just a baloney. It's not as if they are going to maybe control any ministry or department of government. What they will do is this. There is the power of the Freedom of Information. Freedom of Information Act empowers Nigerians to ask questions. As a matter of fact, to demand explanations. And there have been demand explanations from agencies of government, from MDAs. So there have been cases where government agencies tried to say they wouldn't respond to FOI requests. And then the court had to compel them to do so.
Okay.
So that is one of the functions, of the shadow government, to now identify critical areas where government appears to be failing or losing focus or should do better. And talking about constitution now, must everything be in the constitution? Britain has an unwritten constitution. So when you bring up some of those things, where are you going to point out to it in constitution? So it is just, it's just when you say a shadow government, they don't hold any powers. They don't have people in the National Assembly. But the citizen, because in the constitution, the fourth constitution says, the preamble to the constitution says, we the people, although we the people of Nigeria never came together to write that 1999 constitution, that flawed constitution, we never came together. It was the military. It was some people. I tell you about some people that were handpicked by General Abdul Salami Abubakar when he was a military head of state. They were the ones who came together and put that constitution together. They never consulted Nigerians. So that we the people is a fraudulent preamble to the constitution. But be that as it may, the people have a right. Their rights are specified in the constitution. The duties and responsibilities of the government are specified in the constitution. And the constitution says that government shall exist for the safety and well-being of the people. How safe are the people? What is the people's well-being like? And then some people now they're not taking upon themselves that, okay, we will take a more serious than just playing the role of an opposition. And they cannot take it. Peter Obi, a frontline position, tweet something, and then you see illiterates, people who are deliberately illiterate, deliberately deficient in knowledge, will come out to be attacking him. Look at the things they are saying. Look at what the man is saying. They don't even know about it. They don't even know anything about it. But because they belong to WhatsApp groups where they tell them, go and attack this man. And then they are paid. Because this prosecutors, they are paid. I don't know if you saw on X, one former comedian who now has a political appointment was even expressing surprise that people were being paid to criticize opponents of President Bola Tinubu. It's there on X.
So he wasn't aware.
He was pretending not to be aware. Because people challenge that, why are you pretending not to be aware? That people are being paid. There is even a former official of government. The photograph of people who belong to his group, they call themselves Arm Squad. Okay. Arm. I don't know what they mean by that. Twitter Arm Squad. Their photograph is there online. So they have now decided to take it up that, okay, we're going to, for instance, look at the budget. If you say, okay, you have XYZ budget for health, we'll look at it, we'll scrutinize it. 230 million Nigerians have, the government says that's budgeted XYZ amount to take care of the health of 230 million Nigerians. So how far can this money go? How well will this budget perform? Knowing that, for instance, look at the 2025 budget. Let's come down to the brass tacks. 2025 budget has a deficit of 13.01 trillion. That means for every month, we have 12 months in a year. So that means for every month, you're talking about 1.25 or maybe 1.15 trillion naira deficit that will be factored into the operation of the budget. So the shadow government will say, how do you intend to meet this? Because to meet the objectives of this budget, because over the years, our budgets have not gone beyond 30% capacity utilization. Go and check. Our budgets have not gone beyond 30%. Why? Because of cash backing. Lack of cash backing. If you go to any agency now and say, but look at this, they tell them we've not got money. We've sent our request to the Federal Ministry of Finance, but they said there's no money. And that's the truth. So how will you cover the deficit? Last year, 2024, you had a deficit. In 2023, you had a supplementary budget. Have you made the objective of that supplementary budget? Have you made the objective of 2023 budget that you rolled over 2024 and rolled over 2025? Have you made the objectives? So
does it mean that the money as stated wasn't, the liquid cash wasn't there?
It's not there.
So the 54 trillion 2025 budget is not
you mean 45 trillion?
45 trillion of 2025. It's not in existence.
Why do you think, permit me to stretch it to the United States, why do you think President Donald Trump is running up and down, bringing all kinds of policies? He wants to knock down the deficit. In fact, he and the US Congress are locked in it. There's going to be a battle. Even though it's dominated by his Republican Party. But there's a big deficit. So the government might be shut down by January 4 next year. Which is what, if the government and Congress cannot agree on the following year's budget, by January 4, they'll be shut down. I think it happened under George Bush or Obama, So they have to agree. Because when there's a deficit, how are you going to fund the deficit? It's not just enough to go and, like what Buhari did in December 2021, where he got the National Assembly to approve a ways and means of $50 billion, which was 23 trillion, by printing Naira notes. That is a stupid way. That's a stupid way to look at it. Because there is no productivity behind that thing. You're just printing Naira. There'll be Naira everywhere. But where are the goods? You're not manufacturing anything. You're not producing things. So people come from, and then it was worsened by the Tinubu administration devaluation of the Naira, by floating the Naira. So now the CFA that used to, stay very far out of respect for the Naira, now came and stood and overtook the Naira. So people come from Cameroon, Togo, Benin, as far as Burkina Faso, Mali, they come to Nigeria. They buy our food stuff. They buy things and all of that and take them to their country.
So isn't it what the idea was actually, to invite investors? Energy flows where attention goes. So don't you think that was a strategy? China has devalued its currency to some extent.
China, no. China uses devaluation as a tool to play heavily in the global economy. We didn't use our own devaluation to play anything now. How can your devaluation put you at the mercy of this of external forces? That the CFA is now ahead of you. The Naira is used only in Nigeria. The CFA is used in 17 African countries. Your neighbors, all your neighbors use CFA. So how do you want to play? If you were a heavy producer of goods, if our factories were churning out, as a matter of fact, right now, the GDP, the highest contributor to GDP is the services sector. And the highest contributor to that service sector is the financial services. So many Nigerians involved, in borrowing and all of that. That cannot sustain an economy. The manufacturing sector has not gone beyond 10%. Agricultural sector that was our mainstay for 15 good years. Jonathan depended on the agricultural sector a lot. That was the time they wanted to bring out cassava bread. The agricultural sector, you have many spin-offs. The value chains are endless. So you can actually use those ones to create jobs. I mean, look at cassava, for instance. From cassava, you can get different products for different industries. And for each industry, you're talking about jobs, massive jobs. So, but when you depend on the services sector, this is, you're in the digital era where you can do a lot of things digitally. So that removes that human interface by several layers. You remove several layers, unlike those days in the bank, where you have to go to the bank, you fill a teller, you give to the cashier, The cashier will give one manager, office assistant to give it to the accountant, who will stamp, send it to the manager, who will stamp, then they will bring it back, write in a book. But the financial services in today's world, the fintechs, for instance, you've cut off many layers of human interaction. So what does that mean? High unemployment. Youths cannot get jobs. But if you are heavy on manufacturing, like China is heavy on manufacturing, you know what? That human interface will be there. Because it's human beings that make up societies, not robots. You understand? Not computers. It's human beings. That human beings are the first element in any society. So, it is very, very important that we have people who are consciously monitoring the activities of government. People are saying, okay, government, why not look at this way? Why not look at this way? Why not, for instance, instead of declaring a deficit budget, why not shave off some things in the budget? Like constituency projects. Why not put them in abeyance, for instance? I say, okay, due to the poor liquidity in the economy, let us put these things in abeyance. You say you have met your revenue target. You have met your revenue target as at August. But you didn't tell us which budget. Was it 2023 budget revenue target? Was it 2024 or 2025? It can't be 2025 because we're just about to enter the last quarter of the year. You have made revenue. There's no doubt about it. Under this administration, they've made unprecedented revenues. That's why the governors, honestly, they don't know what to do with money. They have a lot of money, but they don't know what to do with it. So they're building airports, building all kinds of things, sending the wives of local government chairmen to Turkey to learn how to administer, people are not recognized by the constitution. That's why they're doing all kinds of jamborees. Tinubu quickly paid for that yacht that Buhari ordered, 5 billion per. He paid for a Tokumbo jet. He bought new cars for his wife. They have so much money. But who monitors all those things? Who is asking questions? The National Assembly has told you that anything that Tinubu brings will rubber stamp it, so you cannot depend on them. Meanwhile, they're supposed to act as the checks and balances on the executive.
So they should have been the shadow government we're talking about.
Not really. There are checks and balances in government. Shadow government belongs to the opposition.
Oh, okay.
It belongs to the opposition. So, you have made revenues of over 411%. But what have you done with it? You've been borrowing externally, borrowing internally, and using your revenue to service debts. So there's nothing. There's nothing. There is nothing. There is nothing. Look at governors borrowing. Governors just keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. And the debt management office have been warning that the economy is in trouble. The other day you said they said the economy, that Nigeria is not broke, but has some fiscal challenges. And I say, yes, I have plenty of money in my pocket. In fact, my pockets are bulging. But that is the woman selling rice across the road. I'm owing her. The woman selling beans, I'm owing her. The man selling meat, I'm owing him. The woman selling milk, I'm owing her. When you calculate all that money, it outstrips the money in my pocket. So do I have money? I'm not broke because I'm still working and earning money. But am I rich? Am I solvent? If those people hold me, if those women hold me by the cloth that you are not going anywhere today until you pay us our money, and they remove all the money, yes, I will go and work and earn money. But at the same time, I'll still need to go back to them. Madam, no vex, please, I'm sorry. Now, when they pay salary, I will pay you. Then I'll start another cycle of borrowing again or living on credit. And that is the sad thing about the Nigerian economy. So, what we need, instead of government being afraid of his shadows, abusing everybody, this one, Jonathan's government was a disaster. Peter Obi is this. I think just abusing everybody. Because you are afraid. What you need to do, fix the economy.
But at this point, is it possible to salvage the situation, knowing how bad it has become, deliberately messed up by, of course, the president and those around him?
Yeah, you see, Nigeria is not irredeemable. But you need a lot of sincerity to redeem Nigeria. You need a lot of, you need to cut the cost of running government, because you cannot have governance without, a reasonable cost of running the government.
True.
It's not possible. You'll be borrowing to pay salaries. It's not possible for you to, because look at the security. When you see soldiers going up and down, it costs a lot of money. For one Tucano jet or one Alpha jet to fly in the northeast or in the northwest to go on bombardment, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. As a matter of fact, somebody was saying that one time the military, deployed somewhere in the southeast, that it was costing 400,000 naira per day. Sustain them, they had to withdraw them. And that was why insurgents now gained ground and came back. That if the military has sustained that onslaught, that they would have wiped out everything. Each day, 400,000 naira. You have to feed troops, you have to fuel their cars, you have to do maintenance, you have to pay informants, you have to do a lot of things. So, insecurity is very expensive. So that's why you see governments do their best. They do their best to make sure their countries are secure.
Because with that, you would save so much money.
You save a lot of money and pump it into the economy. Yeah. A lot of money that should be in the banks for people to borrow. Government is borrowing. That's why you have high inflation. Because if government borrows domestically, they're issuing different bonds, treasury bills. You and I cannot get money to borrow. But the banks cannot, they will ask you to go and bring your grandfather's birth certificate. They will put impossible conditions before you. Because why? They look at what the government borrows, The government will come and say, okay, right, we need so and so amount of money. We need to borrow so and so amount of money. And they look at it now. That look at the budget, what the government has budgeted. Look at the exchange rate now, what they have fixed as exchange rate. Look at everything now. It favors the banks. So the banks will readily want to lend to government at 35%. When they are sure they can hijack allocations.
Okay.
Yes, on first line charge, as the allocations are released, the banks get their money. Now you and I, they'll be asking for 18%. Or even asking for 9%. Single digit. They would rather lend to government at 35%. Even 50%. Yeah. The governor of Niger State was lamenting the other day that he borrowed too much. That they were thinking of borrowing 500 billion. Later they increased to 1 trillion. That they now discover that the money is too much. Okay. When you are going to borrow the money, didn't you do hold meetings and do your financial outlay before? And that is the problem. How can you now provide services to the people? How can you secure? It's not possible. It's not possible. That's why people are saying that governors have so much money. Why are they not performing? And there was a day I was explaining to people, they were insulting me. I said, Nigerians, when will we get down to tackling issues intellectually? That these people, the money they are owing is being deducted on first line charge.
But how about the case of Anambra, where Professor Chukwuma Soludo has said that the state hasn't borrowed from anyone?
The good thing for Anambra is that it has had governors who were not reckless with borrowing. Okay. Except Obiano. He had Ngige, who didn't go out of his way to borrow. He had a Peter Obi, who made sure he wiped the slate clean. As a matter of fact, he left so much money for Anambra. In fact, some of the criticisms against Peter Obi actually being sponsored by people, former governors who were reckless. But Peter Obi now looks like a judgment on them.
Okay.
Yes. So when Peter Obi was there, he left money. He left billions, even in foreign currencies. He left. Obiano came well. There was a little stuff. Then Soludo came in. As Soludo came, you know what? Soludo is lucky. Anambra is now an oil producing state, earning 13% derivation. So, if you, and give it to him, Soludo has also done something in terms of revenue generation, but with all the rough tactics and all of that. But with the internally generated revenue and the allocations and the 13% derivation, Anambra can, sail smoothly without any hiccup. Unlike some states where their governors are so reckless. You can see Cross River State as the president itself, that their governor, that their state is not among those listed as heavily indebted. They've been praised as, that the governor, he's doing well, he's managing the finances well, blah, 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 blah. Yes, which is true. If there's no fiscal management, if there's no prudence, you will just borrow. President Soludo said the other day that there was this loan that the federal government made available to states. Yes. It was only Anambra that didn't borrow. So at the end of the day, what is your per capita income? It's not that my state, our state, by generating money, internally generated revenue, allocation, VAT payment. When people want to deceive themselves, they start juggling figures. Payment of VAT. At the end of the day, how well managed is your state? Your governor is taking billions to fix, to renovate government house. But a Soludo took money from government finances to build to complete the government house project. So which one is which? So what I say is that this government should stop living in fear of nothing. Criticism, opposition is a normal part of a democracy. So call shadow government or whatever, it's just semantics. You need the input of all Nigerians to make this country work and succeed.
Very well said. Of course, like we often will tell ourselves, and we've equally have experienced during the military era, dissent, voices of dissent were not accepted at any point. And at that time, you dare not speak up on the government of the day, that is the military administration of the day. So it is acceptable, during the military era to say we do not want a shadow government. But coming to the democracy that we practice today, leave it, take it or leave it. You must have criticism, and that is what the shadow government, I think, is about. I still do not know why the court of law, members of the judiciary, who I would love to believe understand better, still couldn't get the picture and paint it the way it should be. But of course, this remains an open debate. I do not know if Utomi would respond to that, but of course it's a developing story. I will promise to bring it to you as it unfolds. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being here.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's just about the time we have. We'd love to say thank you. Please do well to follow us if you may. You can find us at EnterpriseTVNews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at EnterpriseTV7. I am Henry Igubike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Have yourself a splendid day. Bye-bye.